Yes, like I have nothing to do, and 8 hours it will, yeah, the time
Okay,
of Game of
everybody,
Thrones will start.
We're live.
we're going live, but it's
Yes,
Mm,
still not. Yes.
we
Okay,
start.
we are live.
yes.
Great. Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you today to the third webinar, which is on SCOME approach to IFMSA Global Priorities. My name is Ala Abu Sufyan. I'm SCOME RA for Africa, and I'll be joined today by Marwan. Marwan, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marwan. I'm the SCOME General Assistant.
And Katerina.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katerina, and I'm the liaison officer for medical education issues.
And last but not the least, Ali.
Hello guys, I am Ali and I'm the NOMI of IFMSA Morocco.
Great. So the four of us today will be discussing different aspects of IFMSA Global Priorities. They're related to SCOME. First of all, we want to establish that this will be interactive, and we will have a question and answer section at the end, in case you have any questions to ask. First of all, speaking about IFMSA Global Priorities, we all know that global health is a growing field. And recently, IFMSA decided to select a group of priorities with the intention to focus internal work and external representation to ensure the maximum impact. So essentially, the global priorities are a group of focus areas and overarching concepts in which internal and external work of IFMSA is in sync and that IFMSA standing committees will focus on. Giving a brief background, IFMSA Global Priorities were first adopted in August meeting 2018. Previously, we had the GFAs, or the Global External Focus Areas. But after a consultation and a process of evaluation, we came up with 10 focus areas and 3 overarching concepts with the intention to align external work, external representation, and internal work. In summary, the 10 focus areas are like you will see in front of you. Next. Yes, we have, first of all, non-communicable diseases, antimicrobial resistance, environment and climate change and health, refugees and migrant health and rights, humanitarian action, children's health and rights, social accountability, global health workforce, access to research and research education, sexual and reproductive health and rights. These are the 10 focus areas. And then we have 3 overarching concepts, which are meaningful youth participation, universal health coverage, and global health education. During our webinar today, we will focus mainly on the SCOME-related IFMSA global priorities, which are, of course, social accountability and global health workforce. Next. Speaking about global health workforce, okay, so the universal truth is that there is no health without a workforce. There's a projected global shortage of 18 million health workers by 2030, and the impact of this shortage is going to be huge when it comes to health systems. So, IFMSA, representing the future health workforce, has a crucial role in calling all stakeholders to immediate action and hold them accountable and make sure that our education is transformative and builds competent future health workforces. Katerina, can you please turn the slide? Yes. So we were saying IFMSA represents the future health workforce, and hence we are holding stakeholders accountable and calling for immediate action to address this important issue, which is the shortage of global health workforce. How do we do what we do? We have internal goals. The first is to promote youth involvement in the accreditation and quality assurance processes. And this is to ensure that there's improvement of education to account for interprofessionalism and community-based education and make sure that the healthcare professionals are fit for purpose or fit for the coming era. The second internal goal is to promote transformative learning in schools, and it will empower students to become the competent health workforce and play an active role in national and local levels. This summarizes basically the internal work that we do on global health workforce, and Marwan will take over to speak about social accountability.
Thank you, Ella. I don't think we can speak always about about global health workforce. So sorry. Its vision is to provide the right number of health workers with the right numbers and with the right skills and the right places, and to ensure that these right skills are addressed to the communities and to the regions and to the nations that these health workforce is mandated to serve. It is important to address social accountability of medical schools because they are, let's say, the factories that produce these health workforce. So we can be able to provide healthcare services to the communities that we are serving. So what is social accountability? It is just the obligation of medical schools to direct their education and research and service activities to the healthcare needs that are prioritized for the communities that they are serving. And can we go to the next slide, please? Thanks. So social accountability has been one of the focus areas that IFMSA has been advocating for since 2017, as it was one of the external focus areas globally of IFMSA, and IFMSA participated in the World Summit for Social Accountability in Tunisia in 2017, where it has received the Charles Bolin Prize for Social Accountability, as well as it has worked with the students and other students' organizations that were present there, so they can present the Student Declaration for Social Accountability as a call for action towards achieving social accountability worldwide in medical schools. Can we go to the next slide? Yes. So IFMSA had many achievements in social accountability since then, and we first of all have produced the Students Toolkit for Social Accountability, where we make students familiar worldwide with the concept of social accountability, its values, as well as there is an assessment tool where they can work directly within their medical schools with their peers, so they can assess their medical school and advocate for a more socially accountable whether curriculum or any other activity of the medical school. As well as IFMSA has worked last year on creating a report for global assessment for social accountability to assess the perspective of medical students on how much is their school socially accountable, and you can check the results in the document that IFMSA has published last year, as well as in last August meeting in Montreal, Canada, where the theme event of the meeting was social accountability, and it was an opportunity for us to bring this focus area and global priority now closer to the IFMSA NMOs and to make sure that they are knowledgeable and well capacitated about this topic. And together with the present members, we worked on creating a document about the IFMSA plan of action, so we can call for actions to our NMOs and held ourselves accountable, so we can work for social accountability in the different areas, whether it is medical education, whether it is research, whether it is service activities, or else as well. Next slide, please. Yes, so social accountability of medical schools is now one of IFMSA global priorities, and it has two internal goals that IFMSA is focusing on this year, which is first of all to capacitate more medical students in order to know about social accountability and to be able to advocate for it on a local level, and to also to measure how much the toolkit that IFMSA has produced, whether is it the manual, or is it the presentation, or it is the trainers handouts that IFMSA has produced, so we can see how much impact this toolkit has created on a local scale. As well as you have seen, our second goal is to ensure a strategic approach towards social accountability in IFMSA throughout raising awareness and and promoting social accountability in different IFMSA events, whether it is the IFMSA assemblies or anything else. And now let's speak about more of the external work that IFMSA does in social accountability or in other global priorities. And I'm giving the floor to Katerina.
All right. Now that we've gotten a background on what we do internally, let's discuss a bit what we do externally. And we certainly have a lot of ideas of what we're doing. Don't worry about it. And I'm going to start with the global health workforce. In this slide, you can see some of the main organizations that we work with regarding this global priority. So we mainly partner with the World Health Organization and specifically the Health Workforce Department. And as part of the World Health Organization, we are working with the Global Health Workforce Network, or else you might hear them as GWEN. This is an entity dedicated exactly to this particular topic. And as part of our work in accreditation, which is a pillar that falls under the work on the global health workforce, we also collaborate very closely with AMI and the World Federation for Medical Education, which I think for all comedians out there are probably the most well-known externals and the ones that we are more familiar with. Now, these are the people we work with, but what we do, and there will be a wall of text on your screen, and I apologize for that, but I'll walk you through everything. We mainly have 3 goals in what we're doing. Number 1 is the advocacy. So making sure that we bring this issue and we shed the light on it towards the partners or the entities that we associate ourselves with, whether that is in external meetings or whether that is in other international platforms, just making sure that the global health workforce is an important discussion point. The second goal that we have is to continue to be close partners with organizations such as the WFME, who work to ensure that the quality of the work of the health workforce is of a high standard enough to provide the community with appropriate health services. That means working a lot on accreditation and working a lot on issues such as health workforce mobility. And our third goal is essentially to keep our involvement in the global health workforce network, where we as IFMSA are part and are co-leading together with other student organizations, a hub, one of the hubs, there are quite a few, which is called the Youth Hub. Now, the Youth Hub of the Global Health Workforce Network is the leading entity representing youth in this particular topic, and it's I would say, quite influential body, which has the ability to collaborate a lot with the WHO and to participate in decision-making. Obviously, IFMSA is not the only youth organization involved, but we are one of the founders, if I could use this term. Now, when it comes to social accountability, the main organization that we work with, and you'll see there's the same one as Global Health Workforce, are the NET, the Training for Health Equity Network, which is a capacity building organization for health professionals and healthcare education institutions. The NET, for example, was the organization that helped us develop the social accountability toolkit that Maru already presented before. We also work a lot with the network towards Unity for Health, or you may hear them as the NET-TUF. This is a network of professionals of all healthcare, of the entire healthcare spectrum, who are experts on the topic of social accountability. And every year, they organize the biggest social accountability conference, which IFMSA attends. And it might be confusing having the NET and then having the NET-TUF, but as long as you remember those 2 icons, I think it should be fine. We also work a lot with AMI regarding social accountability, as they are one of the leading organizations influencing faculties and academic institutions, and they bring together a lot of experts in the area. And we recently, in the past year, started working very closely with WONCA regarding social accountability and how we can use it as a tool to bring forward primary healthcare and to encourage more professionals to follow, family medicine paths. Now, we also have 3 external goals when it comes to social accountability. Number 1 is to remain as closely involved as we are with the leading organizations on the topic and to strengthen our involvement. You'll see some examples. What's important is to remember maybe the 4 organizations that I mentioned. The second goal that we have is to continue the development of the IFMSA Social Accountability Toolkit and to do this together with the experts in the area. Now, the toolkit was published back in 2017, but the work on it is not finished. There's still a lot to be done, and we finalized some translations last year, and we are gonna work this year as well on how else we can enhance it and make it into a more efficient tools for you guys to be using it. And the third goal that we have is to actually make sure that we help NMOs and help everyone who's interested in the topic to become more directly involved in the global social accountability discourse. And the way we try to do that is through our partners. And one, I think, prime example for this is the online courses that we recently launched together with the Association for Medical Education in the EMR. Now, some major updates that I decided to include in this presentation, although that's a very, very short snapshot of what has been going on in the past 2 months, is that for one, we opened the membership of the Youth Hub to every youth person. I don't know if that's the right term, that is out there, so you can join. There was an email sent to the IFMSA servers by the LWHO, as both the LME and the WHO are part of the Youth Hub and they represent the IFMSA. We recently launched the social accountability online courses. We are currently in the selection process for the pilot course. We voted on one new SCOME and SCORE policy document, which was access to research and research education. And while we have a global priority on the topic, I thought it was important to mention as research education is a crucial tool in order to have a competent health workforce. So while it is a global priority on its own, it is also a subtopic that we try to focus on within the global health workforce. Now, a very, very major thing that happened this year was the WFME conference, where IFMSA participated. We organized our own symposium, which was a main part of the agenda. We had very, very good representation. And we got a lot of good exposure for what we as medical students think when it comes to accreditation. And of course, we are preparing currently for the AMI conference, which is happening at the end of August in Vienna. And we finalized the selection of the AMI student task force, which is again one aspect of SCOME that I think almost all Canadians are familiar with. And we are currently working on a lot of new initiatives together with Amy. And one teaser that I wanted to give, if I may, although this is not finalized yet and there will be a lot more information coming along the way, is that apart from the already happening WFME internships, we are currently working on a new internship that will be funded, and there will be lots more information coming out soon, but I just wanted to get out there. And that is all regarding the external updates.
Thank you so much, Katerina. I guess at this point of the webinar, we at least have context of what we're doing internally and much more context on what's being done externally. The main question will become, how can I, as a participant or as a member of my NMO, utilize these global priorities to create local impact? And this ultimately brings us back to the slogan, IFMSA slogan that says, think globally and act locally. I have today with us Ali, and he's going to talk about his experience in making sure how they transcended the global priorities in impacting their national and local priorities. Ali, could you please go forward?
Thank you very much, Hala. And as you learn more about global priorities, I really wanted to share with you IFMSA approach to global priorities and how we set up our own. So, can you go to the next slide, please? So, in the beginning of this term, IFMSA Morocco decided to set up their own national priorities for many reasons. The first one, it's the same as the IFMSA, to align external and internal work, but also to align the local committees' activities, since sometimes local committees tend to have different area of focus. But the most important reason was to adjust the global priorities to our national situation and our NMO needs. So the methodology we used to choose them was first to analyze our activities that were done previously, and to ask the LOMIs and the members what they really wanted to do at a local level. So we did 2 series of surveys to collect input from our members. Then we used the data that we collected to define and align our national priorities to both our NMO needs and IFMSA global priorities. Can we go to the next slide? So throughout the 2 surveys and after a discussion with the LOMIs, we defined 3 priorities for each standing committees. And for SCOME and medical education, we set up on medical ethics, since it was a keyword that we found in many surveys, promoting medical competencies, and social accountability in medical schools. So for IFMSA Morocco, social accountability is a global priority, a regional priority for EMR, and it also became our national priority. So for social accountability, can we go to the next slide, please? We decided to work on a 3 steps strategy. First, by focusing on the members and make sure that all the members know what is social accountability and why we should focus on social accountability. So it's mostly capacity building, both at the local level and at the national level. So I made sure as a national officer to promote social accountability throughout the SCOME session, and also in the last NGA that was in November as the team event of the NGA. So we invited a dean to discuss social accountability and what was his faculty doing about it. The next step was the faculties. We want to implement the toolkit in all the faculties in Morocco. We did 1 faculty this year, it was the faculty of Marrakesh, and we're going to implement it into the 4 others for the next year. And then the last step is to also share and expose our work on social accountability with the other stakeholders. So mostly the stakeholders at the national level and also at the regional level. The most recent example was for the refresh, where some members of IFMSA Morocco went there to represent IFMSA Morocco. That's mostly what we did this year. And for the next year, we're planning to make a big project related to social accountability. It's going to be a national congress, and the work is still being in progress. So thank you very much. That's what I wanted to share with you.
Thank you so much, Ali. I guess it's always exciting to see how the global priorities are being adapted and contextualized and applied at a national and local level. Moving on, we have not discussed all the other global priorities. We've only discussed the SCOME-related ones, but ultimately, all global health challenges can be addressed by going back to our education. Because using a quote that I always like to refer to, Nelson Mandela's quote that says, "Education is the key you can use to change the world," I believe that medical education can address all the global health challenges. So what this SCOME IT has done is that we've worked on this document that we call the SCOME approach to the global priorities. And this document takes each global priority, introduces it, and then brings the problem statement with the perspective of medical education. And then we move on to the next section where we propose solutions that can be advocacy or community projects or activities that are directed towards addressing that global priority. So essentially what we're trying to do is that we're trying to impact or address the global priorities through the medical education approach. And stay tuned because this document will be launched or shared soon, hopefully in the coming days with you all. I believe that this document can be a great way for local officers and national officers to use when they're trying to plan or address some global priorities that happen to be national or local priorities as well. This brings us to the end of our webinar, and I hope that you've been attentive and that you have questions and answers. So yes, we're bracing ourselves for your questions.
I think we have no questions from the floor as of now.
As of now, okay. That's either a good sign or a really bad one, but let's hope that it's a good sign. And we'd like to wrap up by saying that next. Next again. Yes, next. Okay. So we would like to wrap up that at IFMSA, it's all about creating impact, and we do so through our global priorities. So our message from this SCOME IT is that join us in creating impact at your level, and let's make the world a better place. Thank you for attending our webinar today.